First red day of the month. Welcome back to another trade recap. Today is February the 10th. Right thesis, just unfortunately no follow through in the markets today. I really like Tesla above our previous day highs. Ended up working out much later into the day, but no follow through coming into market open. We'll kind of talk about the thought process coming into the day, the trades that I ended up taking. I ended up taking 3 trades today, 2 losing trades, 1 small winner. I was in a decent amount of drawdown coming to market open, but let's just hop straight into the charts to show you guys exactly my overall thought process and the trades I ended up taking. So this is my P&L for the month so far. As you can see, I ended up taking a couple losing trades today, ended up ending off red. So currently up $8,000 for the week. Still super solid month overall, $63,000. But let's go over exactly the trades that I ended up taking. Before I do that, let's go on to the pre-market game plan for today. Let's pull up the Discord. Alrighty, so coming into market open, so February 10th game plan, coming to market opens, we're opening up right around our previous day close. What I like to see is a reaction that we have off our previous day highs. I like overall markets for SPY push shorts all-time highs. As long as we maintain above Friday's highs of last week, we will have a bullish stance in the markets. As for some of my top watches, basically the same as yesterday, Tesla, AMD, and NVIDIA. Keep an eye out for the previous day high retest. And then I also like Microsoft. Microsoft was actually the best trade of the day off our previous day highs. But unfortunately, I ended up focusing in on Tesla along with basically I just focused in on Tesla instead of focusing on the rest of the tickers. So coming into market open, the key levels that we have was really your previous day highs along with our Friday's highs. You can see we kind of had this rejection right off the bat, and we're just kind of consolidating. Very tight range coming to market open. Of course, today it was a very choppy day, and there was no momentum slash follow through. Could you have identified that based off of the higher time frames? You could have, right? Just by understanding it's in between this general range. We're at a 50% retracement, so it's most likely not really going to have as much of a clear direction. SPY closer to the top of the range here, which is your all-time highs. I thought SPY had room up and towards our all-time highs today. It still does, but as you can see, we just have a very tight range coming into market open. So basically the game plan was to keep an eye out on the Qs and SPY off of our previous day highs. So right off the bat, coming to market open, you can see we end up rejecting off our previous day highs. That should have been a sign, at least right off the bat. You should have been a little bit more cautious coming into market open. The first trade I ended up taking on Tesla was fairly aggressive. I had a really solid entry. I was up a decent amount, but I really wanted to see some continuation. So I never ended up scaling. I'll kind of talk about my overall thought process here. And then really for the rest of the markets, as you can see, we're still consolidating. But let's go on to the trades I ended up taking today here, which was on Tesla. All of them were off our previous day highs. It seems like there's a lot that's kind of going on, but let me kind of break it down and show you exactly what I was looking for coming to market open. So as I mentioned earlier, one of my main watches was Tesla around your previous day highs. We were keeping an eye for the reaction. So of course, once it broke above within the first 5 minutes, I was very interested in Tesla continuation towards the upside. So as you can see here, let's kind of go on to the higher time frame thesis. My higher time frame thesis here on Tesla was longs above our 416. Higher time frame key point of interest. This is the exact area that we broke down from earlier into the month. Once we're able to reclaim back above this level yesterday, now all we're doing for today is looking for upside, right? Looking for this flip above our 416. So that was the thesis here on Tesla coming to market open. A little bit kind of a similar thesis to NVIDIA yesterday. Obviously, NVIDIA looked a little bit better. But once it flipped, we can see this push back up and towards our 194. Of course, NVIDIA is closer to the top of the range here compared to Tesla, which had a pretty big of a drop. But this one, eventually, we're going to have that earnings reversal. And then, of course, AMD was another watch that we had. Similar thesis, right? The key levels that we had the day previous. As long as we can maintain above key levels, let's kind of zoom in here. The overall thesis was if we can maintain above our key levels, we can now be looking for our previous day high retest. Very similar setup to AMD yesterday, right? Bounce coming to market open off key levels, look for that previous day high retest for continuation. So for Tesla coming to market open here today, similar kind of thesis, bounce off our 417. Now we're looking for that previous day high retest for that continuation. Same setup, just of course the context wasn't the same with kind of the cues with the lack of continuation coming to market open. So first trade I ended up taking here was on Tesla. Risk was our previous day highs for that continuation up and towards our 428.50. So I got in as this candle was forming about 60 contracts on the 425 calls expiring on Wednesday. So I ended up getting a nice entry here on Tesla. I was up about 20% on the contracts, but ultimately never sold because I was looking for, of course, continuation, right? The overall week we've had, the overall month we've had a lot of continuation towards the upside. So how I personally like to trade, I like looking for high risk reward plus continuation trades. Ultimately, today was the day that didn't have continuation. So whenever we don't have continuation, that's when I'm going to end up ultimately losing. So in this day, right, we had Tesla. Other key levels that we have marked out on the chart here as well was this level right here, which happened to be our 423.92, which is also our 5-minute range high. So it never quite came back down to that previous day highs, but that was my risk level. I was willing to be more aggressive just because of the relative strength compared to the QQQ at this exact time. So you can see within the first 5 minutes, Qs was looking something like this, a little bit of reaction, but I was looking for the break above. Tesla, as you can see, that first dip, we're looking for buyers to step in. Immediately, as soon as buyers start stepping in, aggressive entry risk is our 421, looking for continuation towards the upside. So nice push higher. I wanted to see this 5-minute range hold. Ultimately was not able to hold. And as it came down, was still maintaining Tesla above our previous day highs. But then ultimately, as it came down, right, it kind of rejected here once again. I ended up stopping out. I could have had a little bit wider risk, to be honest, but just based off where I entered, I was fine on exiting my position and looking for a potential reentry. So this was the first trade. I ended up taking 60 contracts, lost about like $4,000 on this trade. And I'm still interested though. So the 1 minute today, this is what happened on Tesla. So the higher time frame thesis was correct, right? We're looking for that previous day hold all day. It actually ended up working out, I'm pretty sure, as we're speaking. But as you can see on the 1 minute time frame, there's not really like that clear of there's not really that clear momentum here on Tesla, right? What we're looking for is either super low risk, which is going to be right closer to our previous day highs, which as you can see here, which is our 421 along with this pre-market high. So we're either going for really low risk or we're waiting for the reclaim entry above our 423. Where I got in was kind of in the middle because it was a very aggressive entry and I was willing to risk down in towards that previous day highs. So I had a super solid entry, but this one basically has to work right away. So ultimately, once it kept on rejecting this level, I was like, okay, I'm going to exit my position. I can always look to re-enter later and potentially get a better entry. And I just want to see where the overall right market, how it reacts off our previous day highs, where the Qs is at currently, right? So I ended up taking the loss on the first trade, down about $4,000 on that first one. As you can see for Tesla, it's still technically holding our key level, which happens to be our previous day highs, the exact level that we want to see it hold on the 5-minute time frame. So as you can see right here, touch here, touch here, touch here. As long as you can maintain, I'd like to see this push back towards the upside. So I still like Tesla since it's very much still intact. So Tesla, you can see some buyers stepping in. And then I look for another potential trading opportunity right here. As soon as Tesla breaks above this previous candle high, I now look for, right, the exact same trade thesis as before. High of day plus continuation. I still maintain my overall thesis and still holding up. But unfortunately rejects once again off our 5-minute range high. And then this one ended up stopping out. Ended up stopping out as this candle closed below. This one was a bigger loss for me, so I ended up losing, I think, over $6,000. So at this point in time, I wish I could have had the face cam plus the P&L recorder for this one. But at this point in time, I'm down over $10,000 on the day, right? A little bit more over $10,000. I'm like, okay, it still hasn't broken my overall thesis, right? Still maintaining above our previous day highs, right? Still like Tesla just because it's maintaining above this key area and price. As long as you can maintain, we can be looking for continuation higher. But ultimately, the 1 minute is very, very choppy today. I've already taken 2 losing trades in a row. I still like the thesis though compared to the Q. So I'm like, okay, this is the last trade for the day. I'm going to try one more time because now technically this is the 84% rule since it's still maintaining key structure. This one finally broke above, but reclaimed back above our previous day highs. So this is my last trade for the day on Tesla, and I'm going to try it once more. Right, previous day highs is my stop loss, looking for a continuation back towards the upside. So I try it once more, and then as you can see, it's just taking so long. Right, with the Qs kind of just consolidating around your previous day highs, was not able to close above, as you can see here on the 15-minute time frame. You had a bunch of upper wicks here, very tight range on the Qs today here as well. Tesla was just not able to close above our 5-minute range high, but we finally got that 5-minute range high close. And guess what happened, right? Tesla came very, very close to high of day. That was my first scale point. I wanted to see that premium pop. If we had that premium pop, I could have potentially flipped green for the day. But Tesla, you had these couple upper rejections here. So Tesla, as I mentioned, it was funny because in the live session, I kind of talked about it. I'm like, oh, Tesla guaranteed today. It's going to come close to high of day, but never hit high of day and just reject. And that's honestly exactly what it did. As you can see, it was a couple cents off. Ultimately, was holding our key levels, which happened to be that 5-minute range high, but never ended up hitting high of day. I wanted that pop above for that nice continuation, and then we can reject, but ultimately we never got that. Ended up taking a little bit off, but I was looking for continuation regardless, and end up stopping out the rest for a small win, putting me down $8,000 on the day, which is a little bit unfortunate because if you look at Tesla here now, right, the thesis was correct, right? The previous day highs was the exact level we wanted to see Tesla maintain, but it was just so choppy today. There's no follow through. It was very hard to hold just based off of the 1 minute time frame. Even the 5 minute was a very hard hold. The only hold that you had was the 15 minute. As you can see, the 15-minute held their previous day highs nicely, but the thesis was spot on, right? The previous day highs hold on Tesla just unfortunately did not have any follow through or any momentum today, which of course, right, we can't anticipate no follow through today just based off of right the previous days that we've had on Tesla, but this was actually the pop that we wanted, right? The premiums moved super nice. We just want that premium spike above our 425. This would have paid very nicely on the contract. So of course it happened after a couple of tries, but the previous day highs held nicely. But what I wanted to mention was we can't anticipate it being choppy just because we've had momentum and continuation every single day for this whole year, right? Basically, today I'd say is one of the most choppier days, or probably one of the choppiest days of the year. So we've had very nice price action for the whole year. So it's very hard, right? If you're expecting continuation every single day, just because that's what we've been getting. Of course, when the choppy market or when we have choppy price action, right, we're just not going to have continuation. So ultimately, of course, it's just going to be a losing day, right? Of course, maybe if you held based off the 15-minute time frame, or if you tried once again, right, that was completely fine. But at least for me today, right, it was right. The thesis was right. Unfortunately, we end up losing just based off of how the markets moved. But I'd say today was honestly a pretty solid day. At least risk management wise, I think I managed risk fairly well. Had really solid entries on almost all 3 trades. Just unfortunately, as I mentioned, no continuation. Of course, if we had that pop up in towards high of day, probably would have ended up flipping green on the day. But of course, we end up rejecting and ended up stopping out the position. So yeah, at least for Tesla here now, I'm expecting some nice setups moving forward. Tesla still looks good. Nvidia looks good. That is going to be setting up fairly soon. I guess we can go on to the live session. There's not really too much to talk about today, but let's go on to this. Yeah, I'm pulling up the live session here for today. Yeah, not really too much to talk about. I'll kind of just go over the commentary. But Tesla, as you can see, we're looking for Tesla strength all day. We're looking for the Qs break above your 616. Ultimately, Qs kind of rejected, but Tesla's showing a lot of relative strength. So that's why I was interested in it. As I mentioned, just kind of speed it up. Previous day highs was a key level all day on Tesla. And you can see it basically defended. Took a very long time. I wish I could have got high of day right there, but unfortunately it didn't. And then that was basically the session right there. But 3 trades today on Tesla, 2 losers, 1 small winner. Yeah, there's not really too much you can do. That's just trading. Unfortunately, no continuation for today. But yeah, tomorrow's a brand new day. We'll see what shapes up for tomorrow. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone. Peace.